Hi, I'm Emma, also known as Bees, also known as beehivian.tumblr.com or whatever username. Beehivian on Instagram, or Beehivian on TikTok, or Beehivian on Blue Sky, or Beehivian on YouTube. I have been cosplaying for over 10 years now. It gripped my brain sometime in high school and never let go. Outside of cosplay, I do have a job. I work as an aerospace engineer. That was my degree in college. That's what I studied in high school. So I've been an engineer for about the same amount of time as I've been a cosplayer. How I make my cosplays is I sit and I think about it for a while. I really try to break it down into pieces. It is different depending on if it's something quick and fun or if it's a longer term, more complicated build, and that just depends on how accurate I want it to be. And it can go a lot of directions. Like, you don't have to know the character, but it helps if you know the character. Sometimes it can just be as simple as, I want to match with my friends. And I tend to approach that very differently from, I want to cosplay this character, I need to cosplay this character or I will blow up type thing. On the one end, I just want to match with my friends. I'll typically look through visually, which characters can I do on a budget versus if I really want to cosplay a character in particular, I know I will want to cosplay them for a very long time. And I will try to make sure I make every piece of the cosplay that's visible, but also in a way that it can withstand a little wear and tear. For me, engineering and cosplay are just intrinsically linked. They overlap so much in my brain, probably in part because I started learning how to be an engineer at about the same time I started cosplaying, because both are very centered around solving a problem of some kind. So I do a lot of project planning in both engineering and in cosplay, so that skill set is not very different between the two. And a lot of it is approaching the problem and saying, how can I create something to solve this problem? Where in cosplay, the problem is, I want to cosplay. That is a problem. I should probably go get that checked out. Oh, what does cosplaying mean to me? It's, first and foremost, that's where I get my social interaction. That's where my community is. I know a lot of people complain that it's really difficult to make friends as an adult, and that has just not been my experience because I have had the cosplay community all the way through high school, all the way through college, into my working adult life. I've been able to make friends and find new people that share the same interests as me. So I've met so many wonderful people by attending local conventions, by spending time on social media and just sharing this hobby. If I get into cosplay and then really act like a character, I do feel like I have a different appreciation for them. How it feels to be in character is different for every character. There are some characters that I just can't get into their head. There's not a part of me I can relate to very well with them. You find ways to put yourself into the characters or find ways to relate. Because generally, if you don't relate with a character, you probably aren't going to cosplay them. In cosplay, I get to choose who I'm cosplaying and who I'm bringing to life, essentially. But it also gives me an opportunity to try out aspects of a personality that are not necessarily mine or I'm not doing day to day. It is also kind of ingrained in me as an autistic person. You know, there's this whole concept of autistic masking. Cosplaying and taking on a character gives me a chance to kind of test run stuff. See, okay, what if I did act like this? What if I did say stuff like this? I am going to be cosplaying clear into my 80s. As long as I'm able to, I'm sure. Unless I find something else to fill that space in my brain, to fill that creative and social outlet, of which I don't know that there are that many hobbies, but I don't foresee that. Because there's so much you can do with cosplay. You can apply, some people say that cosplay is 5 or 6 different hobbies in a trench coat. Because you find yourself sewing, styling wigs, electrical work. There's so many routes you can go with cosplay that there's probably something for everyone. I actually got my most recent job because I'm a cosplayer. Conveniently, my boss is also a cosplayer. So he kind of knew what it was about when it happened to come up. I didn't say it outright in the interview. I was kind of dodging around the question because I feel like in engineering interviews, you want to look real professional and know your stuff. And sometimes the image of cosplay is nerdy and kind of unserious. But what he told me about a year after I got hired is he knew I would be a good fit in my role because I'm a manufacturing engineer at an aerospace company, and being a cosplayer who makes cosplays means I have a vested interest in learning how things are made and learning how to make things with a variety of tools. And by being a competitive cosplayer, which I don't know how he figured that one out, but by being a competitive cosplayer, I have a vested interest in making high quality, long lasting things, which is important in aerospace where quality is key. School's important, remember that. Stay in school, kids. Then one day you can make enough money to afford doing your crazy hobbies, like cosplay. We're not going to talk about how much I've spent on this hobby.
No, do you want to mention how much money you've spent?
Oh no! My cosplays can range anywhere from $0 free because I had everything to maybe $20 for a couple of materials to Anniversary Kaito ran me about $250 between materials. Eugene was the most expensive at about $300. So considering I've done about 50 cosplays in my time as a cosplayer, probably more at this point because I haven't counted in a while, it does add up. What is money for if not to spend it on things you like and enjoy? What is time for if not to spend it with your friends doing things you like and enjoy? I think you should do things you enjoy in life. And for me, one of those things is cosplay. For me, cosplay is fun. It's about having fun. It's a hobby. I do it for free. Nobody's paying me. There are professional cosplayers out there, and as nice as it would be to have 40 uninterrupted hours every week, maybe more, to just work on these projects, I don't think that's for me. I think I like having the direction of an engineering job and working as a team, which you don't necessarily get in such a solo hobby like cosplay. So that is one aspect that is missing from cosplay, is the teamwork. Like, you can do group cosplays, but sometimes it is hard to hold everyone to a schedule, because for everyone it's supposed to be fun. And I don't want to put that kind of pressure on other people. So I lose out on some opportunities to work as a team and work with other people that I get through my engineering job. Also, I don't get to build rocket parts in cosplay, so. I also like going to performances, so like idol fests, drag shows, and the cosplay contest. If I'm not competing, I am watching. I have won a competition. There were a couple other competitions I entered into and got some other awards, like performance awards and judges awards, but I did win Best in Show at Anime Fusion 2024 for my Anniversary Kaito cosplay, in no small part because of the dance I put together. And I'm beyond honored because Kaito being my favorite character, I poured a lot of my heart and soul into that cosplay and that performance. So to be recognized for that meant a lot. Like, of all the cosplays, Kaito, my beloved. Very normal about him. I think cosplayers can change the world. I think cosplayers have a lot of audacity and are able to figure out how to build crazy things. So if you take that and apply it to other problems, I feel like cosplayers could make a measurable impact on the world if they were so inclined. If the community can all agree on something, I feel like we could do a lot. I did meet my most recent partner through cosplay. We were in a fanzine together, so that is essentially short for fandom magazine. I was brought on to a fanzine as a guest cosplayer for my Kaito Momota cosplay, and my current partner was also brought on to the same fanzine as a Kokichi cosplayer, which is another character from Danganronpa, which is essentially a killing game. So we did a collaboration, a magazine spread. So we took pictures, we spent a lot of time on call editing them, and became friends after that, and eventually became partners. The interesting thing about the cosplay community is it's so intermingled with the LGBTQ community. It's very intermingled with the drag scene as well. I gotta say this for the record?
Yeah, you gotta say it for the record.
For the record.
Drag kings. It'll be me one day. On God, I will become a drag king. It'll be so awesome.
You're gonna implement your cosplay ability into that?
Of course. I'll probably only do cosplay drag. I'm gonna be so real. Like, creating original characters is difficult, but let's be so real. Sanji drag number would go hard. That's what I'm saying. That would go hard. That's what I'm saying. That would go hard. I don't know what it is about the cosplay community that attracts queer people, but it may be the concept of getting to dress up as someone else for a bit and not necessarily having to project the same persona that you have. So especially with maybe closeted queer people, closeted trans people, that aspect can be really attractive and interesting. And just fandom in general seems to attract a lot of, I don't want to necessarily say social outcasts, but sometimes that can happen with the queer community. So that has been a really lovely experience. Like, just by the nature of being surrounded by nerds and cosplayers, I'm also surrounded by fellow queer people. Cut the cameras! I didn't say that! I'm not gay! Don't tell my girlfriend. I feel like I shared most of my sweet, sweet nuggets of advice, and anything else I said would be cheesy and canned. I'm very normal about cosplay. This is the picture of the most normal cosplayer, average Joe. I've already given the game away like 3 times in this interview that I'm extremely passionate about it.